All right. So do you have all your expense stuff handy?
Yes, there's not very much.
Okay, good. So for those of you who are listening to this later, you want to grab your expenses, whatever little pile, this is my little envelope, and pull them out. And you want to take anything that is small, like this size, and tape it onto a bigger piece of scrap paper, like an 8.5 by 11. If you have ones that are like this size, they don't need anything special done to them. They're good just the way they are. So tape those smaller ones onto a bigger piece of paper so they don't get lost. I only have one, so the rest of mine are all 8.5 by 11. So I'm just going to smooth them all out. And that one. And Cindy, let me know when you're done with that part, and then we'll go on.
Of course, the one time I can't find a scrap piece of paper.
Of course. It wouldn't be any fun if it was all easy.
No, of course not.
I had to find tape before I could call you.
Oh, well, yeah, that was another thing. My children used my tape, so.
I know. I had 4 of them. I'm like, where did they all go? And then, let's see. I'm going to open up an expense report. Oh, you guys.
Stop.
Let me see here. I'm going to show you my screen. Okay. So you should see in front of you an old expense report of mine.
Yep.
Which is why it's already got numbers in there. So what I always do is I start with the last one. And for me, and I'm sure it's going to be true for you, most of the items will be the same, so you can just kind of update the dates and the amounts if they need to be. So
Okay.
But before I jump in here, I go down to the bottom and I click on the mileage log. And then I fill this in first so I know what my miles are. So for me, I just go back and look at my calendar first to see where I had appointments. And I only had one, actually, that I went to see you. So I go ahead and fill in home, note to Dunn Brothers, and AD training. And that is 6 miles. So go through this and do the same thing for any appointments you had, and then check your receipts. Because if you've been to Kinko's or you've been to roller skating or wherever you went for your meeting, you'll want to put those on there in a similar way. It doesn't have to be any more detailed than that. So I'm looking through my receipts, and I've got 2 that I had trips for, so I'm going to fill those in. Kinko's, copies, 8, 8, and 225. So then at the bottom, when you're done with your mileage, it'll give you a number. So for me, I only had 22 miles. You'll have, I'm sure, probably more than 22 miles, but I don't hardly ever have anything. So let me know when you're finished with your mileage piece, and then we'll go back to the main one.
Okay, so I have to do that to mine, right?
Yeah. It'll only take a second, so just go ahead and do it.
Oh, but I got to try to figure out, because I see your screen.
Pardon?
I said, because I see your screen, I have to try to figure out.
Oh, yeah, you're right. You're right. You'll have to open up your form.
My form is open behind you guys, or behind you.
Can you minimize me?
No.
Oh.
Let's see.
Well, I'm not sure how to tell you how to do that then.
But I did look at the expense form. I'm just trying to.
Okay, well, we'll just move on as though you're filling it out, and we'll just get done, and then you can get off and go do it. I was thinking you just do it alongside, but it's not going to take that long. So
Okay.
then we go back to the first part, which is down at the bottom there. So what you're going to do is you're going to go through and number your receipts. So for me, the first one I've already listed is CenturyLink, so I'm going to make that my first one, and I'm going to put a 1 on it, such. And then I'm going to go look, and so this is from 2/13, so I'm going to change the date, and the rest is the same. It's still my phone and internet. It's still that, but my total is $89.11 this month. Now yours will be different because that's going to be, I have my phone and internet together and I have a different allowance. So yours for that is going to be probably $75 if they're together, $50 for your phone, and $25 for your internet. If they're 2 separate bills, then list them 2 separate times.
Okay. So no matter what mine is, so mine is, I have my Verizon wireless and my Integra, which is my internet.
Right.
So I would put 25 for my internet, no matter what it is, and
Correct.
then 50 for my Verizon.
Correct. And that's
Okay.
and they're probably both more than that.
Yes.
They're probably part of your cable bill or a bigger phone plan. Yes, just copy what you have. And and the top page, like, you only really need like this. I send mine because it's only 3 pages, but really all you really need is that top. You don't need all of the gazillion pages that come after it because they have all that detail. Mine, this one doesn't. But normally you really only need the top. It has the date, your name, and the amount on there.
Okay. Now my bill says, well, so like my payment is due to 2015. Like mine are, so how do I do that for the date? Like,
so you can just go into that first one and just put February.
okay.
Just for it, as long as you don't submit the same month twice, it really won't matter.
Okay.
So this is for your expense in February. So regardless of what, if the bills don't usually line up perfectly, that's okay.
Okay. So still under date, put.
The date should be the date of the expense. So I usually, in mine, it's the upper right-hand corner. There'll be mine is dated up here.
Okay.
There's a date on your bill.
Yep. My invoice says 2/5/15.
Yep. Then use that.
Okay.
All right. And I got to fill in T-Mobile. I didn't print that one off yet. I just realized. No, I didn't fill that one in. So I'm going to leave that one. So go down to whatever your next one. For me, it's T-Mobile. That would not necessarily be the case for you. And just fill in again. So if you had phone on the first one, now you can do your internet or vice versa, whatever you have next.
Okay.
And again, then you're going to want to number it, put a number 2 to correspond with receipt number 2 on whatever item you're putting on this line item.
Okay.
And then you just keep going down from there. So you just want to make sure that it's labeled. So if I have a question about what you put for number 3, I can go through your pack and find the one that you labeled 3 and look and see what's going on.
Okay.
So let me just quickly go through what should go in what categories.
Okay.
So phone and internet's pretty obvious. You have up to 50 for phone, up to 25 for internet, and there really shouldn't be anything else in there. The next category would be anything you're buying. If you buy pens or you got to buy some folders or name tags, copies, anything like that would go in that next column. The third column is going to be if you ever have to pay parking, if you go to an event and they charge parking. It says local transportation. Occasionally people will take the train or the bus somewhere. That doesn't really apply in Minnesota very often. Or if you ever house. No, I take that back. The per diem is, never mind. Forget I just said that. It's just tolls, parking, not everything related to transportation that's not mileage, basically.
Okay.
Training you won't have very often. But for example, if you have your receipt from when we met to train, you could put that in there and put it under training. But you normally won't have anything in there. Activities is going to be your monthly event.
Okay.
Or if you take your au pair out for a cup of coffee or an ice cream cone or whatever because you're meeting with her or because it's the orientation or whatever, that should go under activities. Host family day you'll only use specifically for host family expenses. So that might be before family day if you're like reserving space or else after. So most of the months you won't have anything in there. Okay. Advertising, same thing. Generally speaking, I'll arrange for a check if there's something of expense. But if you ever go to something that it's just not worth the hassle to pay ahead of time, like maybe you're going to go to a networking event or, you know, something where you pay 10 or 15 bucks, you could put it here.
Okay.
It should be something we've agreed on, but the expense can go here. But anything else like the Growing Green and the St. Francis, those are all just request checks from our office. And so you don't have to do anything with that.
Okay.
Posted just what it says. You know, what's easiest is buy yourself a book of stamps and just expense it and use it when it's used up, buy another one. You know, you don't have to go to the post office every time you need to mail something. The only thing you'll probably mail with any regularity would be the host family handbook. And once you've mailed it once, you'll know it costs $1.70 to mail or whatever it is. And sometimes you'll be taking that with you to your appointment. I think it's nice to mail it ahead of time if there's time for them to review it. If you're going out in the next 2 or 3 days, then no. But if you're going out a week or so later, there's a lot of information in there that they can use. So I would mail. But other than that, you're not going to be mailing stuff very often.
Okay.
The conference is specifically the area director conference. So this year you won't have anything in there. Hopefully next year you will. And then other is a category that you shouldn't normally use only if we've agreed on it. Every blue moon, we might send, like if we had no pair in the hospital, maybe we sent flowers, or maybe we bought her a little, you know, get well basket or something like that, something odd.
Okay.
But I have to approve those. So if we have something that doesn't fall in one of the other categories, we'll throw it in there. And so then basically it's just a matter of filling in, mark your receipt with the right number for the line you're using, the date of the expense, who the expense was with, generally what it was for, you know, AP meeting, made copies, cell phone, whatever, and then just put it in the right column and it'll add up for you if you're in Excel. If you're not, you can just print it off and hand write it and do it in a calculator.
Okay.
That's totally fine too, as long as it's just neat.
Right.
And then it'll total for you, or you add it up. And then down here is where the miles go. So I had, oh gosh, I gotta go back and look. I had 22 miles. So whatever your total is, you're just gonna put that in there. And again, if you're in Excel, it'll calculate for you, right, automatically. If not, you're gonna multiply times 47 cents per mile, and that will give you the total.
Okay.
And then you're basically done. The only thing else that's on here that you might need, well, you will need at some point, is this section here is for when you house an au pair. So you're gonna put her name, the host family name, why you're housing as opposed to why isn't the family housing, which might be host family refused or host family not conducive to housing au pair or something like that. And then over here, you just put the dates in. The date she came, the last day she was there, and that'll calculate how many days. Oh, and this is old. This will be 35. I never house, so I didn't even think to use the new form. But if you're using a current one, it'll say 35 in there. And then it'll calculate over here. But the income, the money from the housing money will go into your paycheck. Okay. So it's showing, you're reporting it here, but it's not gonna come back here. So if you ever have an expense report that has housing in it, the total you get back is not gonna be the same as what you put in. Okay. You'll see it on your payroll and you'll see it come up there. Then other than that, you're just going to want to sign it. I make a copy of your whole packet and then mail, or you could drop off or give it to me at Lifetime, your real ones, and just paper clip, you know, when you get the printed off copy, you signed it, just paper clip it together. And that's about it. The only thing that might be worth noting is if you ever have a receipt, like say you've got your receipt from Target, I've got mine right here, and you bought stuff for au pair care along with your groceries or your stuff for your family. It's, first of all, if you remember to do it, it's much, much easier to get a separate receipt, like have the lady bring up your stuff separate than your family's, because then you don't have to do any calculating. But if for some reason you forget, or it just works out that you have a combined receipt, you need to go over on and show me how you came up to this. So for example, if this was mine, I don't know if you can see this or not, I circled one item on my receipt here.
Okay.
So if that was hypothetically, that was my au pair care event, I'm gonna mark that as APC, and it's $575. I'll just tear this off when I'm done, because this is actually the whole receipt. And then it'll tell you what was taxed. So in this case, all of them were taxed. They're all starred at 7.125%. So I'm going to get my handy dandy little calculator out and figure out what is the tax on 575 times 0.7125 is 41 cents. So I'm going to mark that tax, and I'm going to take 575. I'm going to add it to 41, and now I have 616. So that's the amount. So I'm going to show my calculation here. So if you ever have a big receipt, just circle the items that are au pair care and then go off to the side and just add, literally manually add them up. The reason it's so much easier to get a separate receipt is that some items are taxed, some items aren't taxed. In some cities, they're taxed at different rates. You know, some things are taxed at, I don't think we have it out by our house, but like in Minneapolis, there's like 3 tax rates. So then you got to go figure out how many dollars on tax rate 1, how many, so it's, so that's obvious why it's quite a bit simpler just to get a separate receipt. But anytime you have something that you're not submitting the total amount for, it just has to be crystal clear how you got to that amount. If I get a receipt and there's a few things circled and there's no explanation, then I got to sit there at the calculator and try to figure out how did you get to the amount that you put on your expense report.
Okay.
So it's just easier if I know exactly where you got there. If you make a mistake that is, you know, if you make an honest mistake, I will fix it. If you make a mistake because you, like I don't go back and add things. The biggest thing people forget is tax. I mean, seriously, that's a $6 purchase and there's 40 cents tax on it. Right. So not that that's huge, but it adds up. And so that's the biggest thing I see is people will, they'll buy ink, which is $40 a cartridge sometimes or a package, and they won't take the tax on it. I'm not going to go back and add tax on there. If somebody requests more money than they should, I will fix it, of course, because I'm not going to charge au pair care. But I don't go back to fix things that people just didn't do. If you transpose a number or something, of course, I'm going to fix that. But I just point that out because other people routinely don't request it, and I never understand that.
Right. You
should get all the money that you've got coming back to you. Other than that, that's about it.
Okay.
If you want to type up your first one, and pardon?
I didn't.
Oh, so when you're done with your first one, if you want to email it to me, I'd be happy to take a quick peek at it and just tell you if I see anything that grabs my eye. If not, it's not complicated. I just try to get people doing them correctly because it's a pain to correct them manually when they come in. So these come to me, like I said, you can drop them at my house, mail it to me, hand it to me, whatever, by the 15th of each month. So this isn't due till March 15th for last month. And then checks generally get cut. There's a calendar, but it's generally 2 weeks later. So it's like the last day of the month usually is how it works out. So the 30th or this month, I guess. This month, I guess it'll be the 30th. And so then you'll get a paper check, a real check for your expense check in the mail.
Okay.
As opposed to auto payment for if you sign up for deposit for your paycheck. Do you have any questions on anything I didn't talk about or any receipts you have that aren't accounted for in here?
I don't think so. Not this month.
No, normally you're going to have your phone, your cell phone, your phone and your internet, your mileage, and your au pair event. And then occasionally you might have something else. But that's, it's not going to be too complicated. Mileage will probably be routinely your biggest expense. That adds up pretty quickly. But if you get to it or a different month, just yell. Not a big deal.
Okay. You keep cutting in and out.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, but every once in a while you cut.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Not a big deal.
But any questions on this? If not, we can move back to, I'll stop this and we can answer your other questions.
Okay. Yeah, I think we're good.
Okay.